Hi lovelies, and welcome back to my channel at the end of 2022. I just can't believe we're in the final few days. Me and the dogs are having some quiet time. The kids are at their dad's, so I thought I'd film a video today. Now this is a VR response to Lisa Pape's Dani Mystic and Dustin over at Modern Metaphysique. This is a response that's perfectly timed for this time of the year because it's a look back over 2022. 22 double take, so look back over the year with a double take, choosing pairs of things for a series of questions. So I thought I'd join in. Question number one is the two most used decks of 2022. It can be tarot or oracle. Can I cheat a bit because I'm going to put two pairs in because they kind of work together as one deck really. So it won't be any surprise if you've watched my channel for half a minute in 2022 that the Arthurian Tarot comes into play because I've been working through the Hallow quest. I didn't do it all. It's a lot to take in, it's a lot to process. I am going to be picking it back up in 2023. But the tarot deck, the Arthurian Tarot, which is newly released with not these green backs but with the most amazing purple backs, it's just been re-released. This tarot has been so used. Now it has been used alongside the Mists of Avalon Oracle. This is by Rose and Sarah. It's a Rockpool publication. These two together this year have really been used a lot. For the first, I would say 3 or 4 months, it was virtually all I used. So when I say it had heavy use, it really did get heavy use. They have been completely sublime together, not only with the thematic element of like the Celtic Arthurian worlds and Avalon and the myths of Arthur, but also in the voices that these decks hold for me. They've led me into pathworking this year and integrating meditation as well into my tarot practice, which was always there a little bit but not to the extent that the Hallow quest pushes you. And I have to say, I have had some of my most magical experiences of my whole life really, not just the year, by pathworking with these two decks together. These are the backs of them both. They've been amazing. I've absolutely loved them. So that's why I'm classing them as one option, because they have bonded into one working deck really, although there's two decks here. So that's my first one, and if you can even believe it, there's probably another bonded pair that I've used even more than those two decks, which for me is unbelievable. I wonder if anybody can guess which pair it is. It's a pair that I use every morning before the school run. These are kept downstairs on Tilly's shelf in the lounge, where she's got a number of decks. Virtually every single day this year, me and Tilly have pulled cards from these decks. She's asked for her dragons for the day and her story for the day. She has 2 dragons and 2 tarot cards with it every morning. I shuffle, she takes the 2 from the top and I take the 1 from the bottom. So we have had cards out all year. So this is the Field Guide to Garden Dragons, where all the dragons are these amazing sort of food dragons, and the messages are just lovely to find out what dragon she's flying into school on and flying into her day on. So she finds out what dragons she is flying into the school day on. And then from the Tarot for Kids, which is by Kaylee Whitman, this is beautiful for kids to use. So these are the backs on these. Have given her the story of the day, so she knows what dragon is alongside to help her. But what's the story of the day going to be? And again, these two decks together have become a really bonded pair, and they have just been a delight. She's come home from school and she's asked every night to review the cards, using that word review, which I love to hear her use. And we've tried to work out where in the day these energies kind of fitted. And my Tilly's getting quite good at remembering some of the meanings now of these cards. Of course, daily tarot pulls will do that for you, even if somebody else is helping you to know the meanings. So I couldn't do this double take review without putting these two decks in as well. Okay, the second question is your 2 favourite new decks bought in 2022. Now, 2022 was a no-buy year for me, a complete no-buy, which I stuck to in the most part. I kind of called a kind of end to it in November because I wanted to buy some dolls, which we'll get to later on in this video. But I had a few decks sent to me as gifts. I had a couple of decks sent to me for review, and I also actually bought one deck in my no-buy year. So we'll start with that one, the deck that made me break no-buy year. Which one was it? It was this one. This was a unicorn deck for me. I'd searched and searched and searched for this, couldn't find it anywhere. This is Barbara Walker's I Ching of the Goddess Oracle. It finally came up on eBay at a really reasonable price that I could afford, but the seller was away on holiday, so it wouldn't let me bid on it, and it just sat with it saying that the seller was on holiday for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I kept sending messages saying, hey, when you're back, could you possibly look at my offer for the deck? Eventually he got back and he accepted my offer, and I got this at a really fantastic price. I bought it because I want to study the I Ching system of divination next year. Also, it's Barbara Walker, who I've got a long-standing history with in my life, starting all the way back before I knew anything about tarot with her knitting books. I did a degree in knitting and I had all of Barbara Walker's knitting books. I've had a funny relationship with Barbara Walker in my life. I saw this deck and I just knew that I wanted it so much in my life. It just seemed a perfect deck as well with some of the goals I've set for study in 2023. It hasn't disappointed. It has proved to be just as magical and intense and interesting and fabulous to own as I expected it would be. I just love it. So that was a fantastic newbie deck in my no-buy year. The other deck, which was a gift from my gorgeous friend Shannon, which came at the start of the year, I could not include this. This is the Tarot Avatara. So Frida Kahlo has always been my muse. A ribbon around a bombshell. There she is in the backs of the cards. So this is a Gabby Angus West deck. When I saw this deck, I just knew that I really wanted it. But at the time, with 3 kids and just the carer's allowance coming into the house, mostly indie decks, even though I love them and want to support artists, they are just too big a financial step for me, especially with delivery to the UK and the import costs now, which always more than doubles any deck that you're bringing in. So I just very sadly kind of let the idea of this one go, knowing that I would forever regret it. And then my friend sent it to me. Shannon, I think you know what this means to me. But I love this deck. I really love it. So no year in review could be complete without mentioning the Tarot Avatara. Question number 3 is your favourite books from 2022. So 2 books that you loved. So I am going to mention a series of books that I am still reading. these are not new books to me. They're actually books that were bought for my middle daughter Poppy, who is an avid reader. We're talking, I think she's on well over 60 books that she's read this year, and we have exactly the same taste in books. We both love kind of fantasy world fiction. So this is a series of books by Catherine M. Valente, and this is all the Fairyland books. So it's a girl called September. This one is full of notes. This is book 3 because it's so beautiful, the writing. I grab quotes out of it as I'm reading because it's just so beautiful. I don't want to forget it. It's one of those series of books. I think this is like The Night Circus but in kids fiction, and although it's kids fiction, it is glorious to read. I've read the first 2, which are Behind a Christmas Tree on a Bookcase, so I couldn't get to them. I am probably going to finish this before the end of the year in the next few days. I've got 2 more books to read, borrowed from Poppy. Thank you, Poppy. And just a wonderful series of books. My reading's been really slack in 2022. Normally I read probably about 40 books. I think I've only read just over 20. And the other book I want to choose is actually not even a fiction book, it's a non-fiction book. It's this book by Joanne McMahon and Jack Roberts. It's The Sheila na Gigs of Ireland and Britain. This is the book that inspired me to start the quest for the Sheilas and to go on a quest to find all the Sheila na Gigs. What this book does, not only does it tell you about what Sheila na Gigs are, it gives you a map for where they all are, for every Sheila na Gig in Britain and Ireland, what churches they are. I have had to cross-reference because one Sheila na Gig we found was actually in a museum. It had been moved. So you do have to cross-reference if you're going to get this. But this is what has made the quest for the Sheilas possible. Adventure Tarot started at the beginning of the year. You can see we've got a map of the UK there, we've got a map of Ireland there, they're all mapped out. This is going nowhere. The Sheila na Gig quest and Adventure Tarot I want to focus on more in 2023, but this book has been fantastic. My quest book, when this goes in my bag, I know I'm out on an adventure. Question number 4 is 2 favourite movies or TV series for 2022. Now, I don't watch TV. I always forget there's a TV in the corner. The kids use it for games and Roblox and watching YouTube on. I tend not to watch anything. I'm not a film watcher really. If you tell me 10 films, probably I haven't seen 9 of them. I never think to watch TV. The last series I watched on TV was when I was married, so that's 2013, and it was Grey's Anatomy, and I stopped watching it. I only watched it because my husband watched it. I really don't watch a lot of TV. However, on my YouTube, in my shorts feed, I kept getting unexpectedly shorts coming up with short videos about the characters in The Walking Dead, things about how brave Carol was and what a shame this happened, and they kept appearing in my shorts feed, and it just made me really interested in the characters because I'm not a horror or scary movie girl at all. However, that's changed this year because I binged watched the whole of The Walking Dead except for the last series, which I think is series 12, is it? Because you have to pay for series 12 on Netflix, and I haven't done that yet. No spoilers in the comments. I haven't seen any of the last series, but I did binge watch from series 1 to the end of series 11 in probably just over a month. I know, hours and hours and hours and hours of viewing. It was on my laptop, constantly playing in the background for an entire 6 weeks. I literally could not stop watching that series, and I loved every single minute of it, and it's kind of made me get over my fear of scary movies or horror movies. It's kind of got me in touch with my dark side, shall we say, probably counteracted by 1,000 Dolls, but there you go. But The Walking Dead, oh my gosh, I loved it so much. The other one I'm going to pick is the entire trilogy of the Hobbit movies. Me and my daughter Poppy have watched those this year so many times. So you can see our love of reading in the house kind of leads the way when it comes to the TV. It's also led me to use the Hobbit Tarot an awful lot. So yeah, the Hobbit movies on a quiet night where Poppy's come down to spend some time with me, because she's a typical teenager busy studying for her exams. So she's in her room a lot, but when she has come down, it's been with a whisper of, shall we watch the Hobbit movies again, Mum? And we've loved it. Our love of reading leads the way, plus probably our love of Aidan Turner as well, but you know, we're only human, aren't we? But the Hobbit movies, so the Hobbit movies and The Walking Dead, it's been kind of a gruesome but fabulous year of viewing pleasure. Question number 5 is 2 craft or hobby related things for the year. So my craft and my art practice has it's kind of not gone where I wanted it to go this year, and it's going to be a focus for next year. I kind of don't quite know what happened to me this year. I just felt very overwhelmed a lot of the time with life, and certain things happened in the year that really set me back mentally. And when that happens, things like my garden and things like the art studio get dropped first. However, there has been some quite memorable moments with my craft and my art practice. First of all, I continued with my oil painting. Definitely nowhere near as much work as I wanted to, but I did just a few paintings across the year, again continuing to learn oils. So these are paintings for the toy tarot, which I want to do. So you've got the 10 of Wands here, you've got a Hierophant image here, all done with toys. So you've got different paintings all like this, which I loved doing. So these are all still life paintings from real life. So oil painting, that has carried on as a real love, but also a target for 2022 was to try completely different media which I've never used before. So I chose the medium of oil pastels. I bought a number of oil pastels. These were the ones that I liked the most, the Pentel oil pastels. And I have kind of been trialing them by linking it to images from my Sheila Gig visits. So images inspired by not only the idea of a Sheila Gig, but also the location where I found them. So I know these are slightly in your face images, but it was just nice to try them. And this was trialing it on different paper. This paper didn't work, but using it, I got the idea of scratching into the oil. This is another work in progress as well. So oil pastels was really fun. I actually did an oil pastel. You can see this is trialing out different oil pastels in my sketchbook, and water soluble oil pastels, playing with different ones. This was actually the church at Kilpeck in Herefordshire, where we found the second Sheila Gig. So this was the landscape looking down from the castle at the back of Kilpeck, from Kilpeck Castle. I also used oils. This is Aberystwyth Harbour. Another target and goal for 2022 was to try and do some artwork actually out on location, so plein air art, and I did a few harbour days drawing with oils down at the harbour, which was really fun. Plein air work and oil pastels and also oil paints, it's all been fun this year. Number 6 is 2 splurges of 2022. Now you would imagine that on a no buy year I would have nothing to say, but no, I've got 3 almost teenagers in the house. My youngest is just about to become a teenager in February. Teenagers are expensive, so if we're going to just ignore that, we're going to ignore iPhones being smashed, we're going to ignore replacement phones, we're going to ignore AirPods, we're going to ignore VR headsets for Christmas. We're going to ignore all of that, because that's just a joy. That's the joy of having teenagers. Splurges, other splurges. I think holding on to my caravan in Wales, my caravan Dotty by the sea in Wales, holding on to that every year is the biggest splurge that I do, because ground rent is high. Plus this year Dotty needed a new shower. All the shower pipes started leaking. She also needed a new skylight, because that started leaking in the kitchen, and every time it rained it flooded the kitchen. So there were things that went wrong up at Dotty this year that I had to fix, and I had to make the decision of, do I fix them and try and hold on to this caravan for another year, or am I just going to let it go? I decided to try and hold on to it, because it's such a nice holiday for the kids that the kids can do, that's also easy to do with Tilly as well. And it feels like our second home up there. We've been there now for nearly 10 years. Well, actually, we've been there for 10 years now. But it isn't easy to hold on to it. And every year, it's scraping together money every month to try and put aside to pay the ground rent every March. So I'm really pleased to say the ground rent will be there for March next year. I can keep it for yet another year, but every year that's my biggest extravagance. The other splurge this year has been my doll room. Now, the actual doll room conversion was done with free paint that I got off Free Cycle. It was done with free furniture, so the actual expense of converting the room wasn't anything at all. It was all done on zero budget. However, the splurge of some of the new dolls that came with that from November to December has been quite a lot. Who would know that the inner child would cost so much money? Now, a lot of these dolls that you're seeing here were dolls that I have unboxed, and my collection that has been in the loft for 20 years. Discovering that collection back in the loft and bringing it down from the loft is what set this old passion back on fire again. Since the doll room has been done, of course there has been some expenditure on dolls. As you can see here, you can see some Mycene dolls that have been bought. You can see some Shadow High dolls ready to unbox, of course bought for birthday presents and stuff like that. I also went thrifting quite a bit and found Mycene dolls for literally pennies, so it's not all been expensive. And Christmas saw me finding old toys that I had when I was a little baby. So I found Blue Boy, which is a vintage 1970s Mattel Beanie Baby. This was Blue Boy, who I loved. I've replaced him. That was quite an extravagant spend. And also behind me I have a whole collection of Enchantimals that I bought on Facebook Marketplace to set up a doll altar. So you can see the inner child can be quite demanding and be quite a splurge if you let it be. And the last question, 2 things that you're most excited about for 23. Well, my beautiful son phoned me up last night, really late at night. He couldn't sleep and he wanted a little chat about 2023. He wanted to spend loads of time together. He said, "Be still my mama's heart." He wanted to plan some adventures for 2023. So we are coming up with a list of 23 things each that we're going to aim for in 2023, and the 2 of us are going to have a race for 23 things for 23. Doing our list of 23 things and having an adventurous year is what I'm really looking forward to, spending loads and loads of time with my kids. The other thing that I'm most excited for in 23 is more adventures, more adventure tarot. Sheila and the gigs possibly going to Ireland. There are plans bubbling for that. Visiting sacred sites, Sheila and a gig hunting and adventures with tarot. I'd like to also go to haunted sites as well with tarot decks. So adventure, time with my children, two of the most exciting things for 2023. So with sleepy dogs and exciting plans afoot, those are my 22 double takes. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that your 2022, looking back, you can find all the shiny bits, even if it was a tough year. My year was actually quite tough, but the shiny bits in there, when you look for them, are literally everywhere, scattered like jewels, sometimes in a dark cave, yes, but still there. So let's make 2023 an adventure. Plan your own quests, plan your own adventures too, and tell me all about them. I'd love to know what you've got planned for 23. So thank you so much to Dustin, to Lisa and to Dani. Thank you so much for all you do, guys. I love your channel. I don't always get to join in with you live, but I always do watch, and I've loved all you've done this year. So from me to you, thank you so much. I'll leave all the links below, guys. Have a wondrous new year. If I'm not on here before, I'm sure I will be, but I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.